Hi, I'm attorney Larissa Davis, and today I want to talk to you about what you can expect at your USCIS asylum interview. First, let me congratulate you if you've received that notice with your interview date. It's really an exciting time because it's probably been quite a while that you've been waiting just to get this interview date scheduled. I know the asylum process can take quite a while, and this date's very important because it will be your opportunity to explain in person to a USCIS officer your story and why you're applying for asylum. So, what's first? First, make sure you understand how to get to the location of the building for your interview. The USCIS office address will be listed on your appointment notice, and if you've never been to that location before, you'll want to make sure you know how to get there from either where you live or where you're staying so that you get there on time. I'd recommend getting there about 15 minutes early because you need to find parking, and also you'll go through security once you get into the USCIS office. There will be a metal detector and you'll get through that and then check in at a window where you'll need to show your ID. Bring your notice with you. Your interview notice should be with you. You're gonna need that to check in, and they'll also probably have you do your fingerprints up there at the front as well. There'll be a waiting area with chairs and other people who are there for different appointments, and you'll have to wait until the officer calls you. If you arrive there early enough, you shouldn't have to be in any rush, and hopefully there's not a line with security, but sometimes there is, so definitely plan on getting there about 15 minutes early. Once the officer calls your name and you go back there, it's important to bring with you any new evidence that you might have since you submitted your initial application. When you get to the USCIS officer's office, listen to everything they say. You'll probably be a little nervous, and that's normal. I can't think of a client that I've gone to an interview with who wasn't nervous. It's just normal. It's a really big day and it's important to you. So listen carefully to the instructions of the USCIS officer because they'll likely have you get sworn in right away. You might not even sit down in the chair yet. They typically will instruct you where to sit because there'll often be multiple chairs in the room. If you are bringing evidence with you, the officer will take that at the time that the officer is ready. So be patient, and even if you know the answer to a question the officer is going to ask you, let them finish asking and then answer the question. It's really important as well that you update any new information on your application. So for instance, maybe you lived at a different address and you've updated it since you've applied for asylum. You'll also want to let that officer know that. If you've changed any information at all, it's really important that you let the officer know. And the first part of that interview is going to be going over your form. Secondly, long before you actually go to your appointment, you should be reviewing everything that you've submitted. You want to make sure that you have dates and different information that you've included in your asylum application fresh in your mind. That way you're not looking unsure or like you don't know what you're talking about when you're actually in the interview. There's a lot of really important information in that asylum packet, so it can stretch back for years depending on how your asylum claim is being submitted and what's gone on in your particular circumstance. So be sure to review all that so you remember all the information that the officer is asking you. It's good to prepare ahead of time. If you don't have an attorney already, I do prep clients before asylum interviews, and I'm also able to attend with them as well if they want to hire me to do so. So just putting that out there. Once you get through the entire form, which should take some time, the officer is going to start getting into the actual story, your asylum claim, and the facts and the basis for your asylum claim. You might be wondering, why do I have to go in person to be interviewed for my asylum claim anyways? I've submitted all this evidence and all the documentation. Well, it's important because the USCIS officer needs to determine whether you're credible. That means they have to see you face to face and make a determination as to whether they believe that you're being honest and truthful. You should be honest and truthful about your asylum claim and be able to talk about everything that they ask you without any problems. This whole interview process is going to take some time. And so I'd also recommend that you get something to eat before your interview. You might have breaks, but there's not necessarily going to be any vending machine or anything to eat when you are at the building. So make sure you do that as well. Now, once you get into the actual facts of your story, you want to make sure that everything you're saying is consistent with what you've put into your asylum application. Again, if there's been any changes since you've submitted it, you'll need to update that information during the interview. If you're not sure, you don't understand what an officer's asking you, you can always ask them to please rephrase the question or repeat the question. That's okay to do that. You don't want to answer a question that you're not quite sure what they're asking and then give the wrong information or wrong answer for what the question was that they were asking you. The other thing is, if you do have any evidence that you're submitting, you want to explain why you're submitting that new evidence and why you didn't submit it at the time of your asylum application. There could be various reasons for this depending on the circumstances of your particular situation. But if you do have new evidence, definitely bring it and bring copies with you to your interview. Okay, so you've gone through the form, you've gone through your entire asylum story, and now it's coming to the end of your interview. So, will you have a decision? We don't know. Some officers might decide they need more information from you, or they might say they need to take more time to review your asylum application before they can make a decision. So if you leave the USCIS office not knowing what the decision is yet, don't worry, that's not uncommon, and sometimes officers just need a little extra time to look at things, especially if there's a lot of evidence or if there's been changes. If there's any reason for them to have any concern, they'll ask you about what it is that they're concerned about during your interview. If they need more documentation from you during the course of your interview, they decide there's something else they want or need, they're going to let you know right then and there at the interview. You can always ask them, how long do you think it will take for you to give me a decision? Some officers might tell you a window of time. They might say, oh, you should hear from me in about 30 to 60 days or 90 days. So it's okay to ask. Sometimes they're not willing to really give a time frame, but if they don't give you that decision then and there, it's all right to ask that, just so that you can know when to expect that. So if you have an interview coming up, congratulations. It's a big deal. It's a big day. It's really important. And I hope that this information helps to put you at ease. And if you have any questions or you would like to apply for asylum, you can call me at my office, 601-724-9255. I would be happy to assist you if you're looking to hire an attorney to accompany you to your interview. I also review documents and make suggestions and go to interviews with clients. So no matter where you are in your immigration process, I would be happy to assist. So give me a call and I'll see you next time.